Okay, now we're streaming to the right place. I think before I might have streamed to the wrong channel. So if anybody else on some other channel somewhere in YouTube just got what I got, I apologize. But we have made it. We are here. Hi, Chess. You're muted. You can unmute now.
I did unmute. It didn't go.
Awesome. Because they're probably going, we can't hear her. Steve has audio issues. Let me know in the outside chat if you guys can hear us. As usual, with my setup, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I got to click that button, sometimes this button. So if you can hear her, then we're good to go. So, what? No sound problems? Yay!
Oh my God! This is we've broken new ground.
It only took our fifth show.
Oh God! And that doesn't just this show. That does not include.
I'm telling you, it's not as easy as people think to get this stuff right. But anyways, let's kind of dive into this because we got a freaking huge thing to talk about today. But I want to make it very clear to people before we even continue on this. Cheshire and I will be doing these once a week. We'll probably be doing it on Mondays around this time. If something comes up, we might do it on Tuesdays. But I wanted to tell people kind of why we're doing these things. First, a lot of people, they don't necessarily like some of the topics that we talk about on this particular show, and they want to stick with more science philosophy. I get that, right? I really do. This channel is going to be a kind of a cacophony of things, a mix of things, just a bunch of noise here and there, a potpourri, copiconia, whatever the hell they call it.
Now I can't say it.
You know, cornucopia.
Cornucopia.
I get it right the second time, a cornucopia. But I understand a lot of people have different tastes, right? So this particular channel, we are going to try to migrate to more of the science and philosophy stuff, but the rest of it will go on the GDC channel, except for this right here, this show. And the reason being is I think that as a community, people have a right to know what's going on, and certain things will have to be addressed, and certain things do need to be called out. And so if people don't like that, I get that. My advice to them is simply, don't watch this particular episode, right? Don't watch Caffeine Corner if you don't want it to. I get it. I'm not going to be offended. But I've had messages saying, well, hey, Steve, why are you talking about this? Let's get back to the sciences. I will do that too. That's a huge part of this channel. But I also want to deal with certain things that have come up in the community. And this is the way that Cheshire and I, as two basically reasonable people, get a chance to kind of talk about these things, right?
Well, a lot of the times we get blocked or deplatformed trying to have these conversations, and it's essentially a place where we can kind of diffuse the way when you're rational in a space where people are in high emotion, there tends to be a lot of negative backlash to it because people read their own emotions into whatever you're saying. Whether you are or not is irrelevant. So this is kind of a place where we can kind of take a rational, straightforward approach to the drama that's been going on and kind of try and be like, okay, well, here's factually what this says, here's factually what that said. So we're almost going to be doing social science. So to a degree, it might actually be science, but all of this is a bullshit lie. Steve just wants to keep me on his channel.
That's true. That's 95% of it right there. And I agree with everything she just said, except for one thing. I'll have a little caveat. Although we're trying to talk about these things, I don't particularly call it drama, and let me explain why. And I think
Yes.
Chesh agrees on that. We both agree that drama is something completely different from what we talk about a lot of times. We respond to different things because we feel that a lot of things need to be called out. Because I particularly have made this channel something where people don't get away with bullshit, and people don't get away with saying erroneous things. Red's rhetoric is the same way, right? His channel is dedicated the same way. This is just how we are. That's not necessarily drama. Drama to me is a lot of created, fabricated nonsense where people go out and deliberately try to cause discord. That's not what we do. Cheshire and I have never deliberately tried to cause discord. We've tried to spend many hours trying to prevent discord and disharmony and drama in the community. Believe me, both in public and behind the scenes. So the last thing we really want is drama, but we do want to be able to respond to different things. And I find nothing wrong with that. In Time is a great platform like that. They respond to current events. That's not drama, right? That's something that they will get together and have discussions about various topics. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to kind of dive into these things now.
So that leads us a little bit into the first one, right? Because there's a big difference between somebody name-calling because you're having an argument and somebody making accusations.
Right, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. See, the thing is that accusations are detrimental when they're not backed by anything, right? They're just these blind accusations that people throw out there in order to try to diffuse a narrative or diffuse somebody else's argument or to run a narrative. And this is what I'm seeing frequently, especially among, I'm sorry to say it, but among the atheist community more than ever. I've called out the atheist community numerous times for this type of to me, abominable behavior. I've said there's too much tribalism going on. Other people are starting to recognize this. This is not a condemnation of every atheist by any means, or every atheist group. There's many atheist groups out there that I support.
Or even the viewpoint, the viewpoint of being an atheist.
Oh yeah, not by any means. Sure, yeah. It is just that certain, I see in certain communities, there's a lot of tribalism going on, and I've mentioned this before, and so I see what happens is that they have a lot of the same mindset that I see from theists that I call out on. They're dogmatic. They have ideological considerations that seem to surmount anything else that they ever have to deal with, like ethical issues. And I'm really big into ethical issues. So, Chesh, let's kind of work backwards on here a little bit. I put the enumeration of what I wanted to talk about in the video description, but I think because I really want to focus on Essence of Thought and Rachel Oates for the vast majority of this, we're just gonna blow by a lot of these things very quickly, and the other things, if you guys don't mind, the outside chat, to kind of give you a preview of what we're going to be discussing more in the future. Is that cool, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great to me.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about the conversion therapy later on. Hopefully, I want to get into that. That was a story of a pastor that renounced his beliefs on conversion therapy. I believe he's still Christian, but he has recognized that conversion therapy is harmful, and he was one of the founders of it. The reason why I want to touch on that for a future episode is that that's one of the reasons why I left the LDS Church, because I found that to be abominable. I found that to be horrific. I felt that a church should not be able to give money to support such a thing, and the LDS Church did. It was called Evergreen, and Evergreen was this group. Evergreen International was this group that I believe that was their full name. Was a conversion or reparative therapy where they would have gay people go to de-gay them using sometimes shock therapy. I couldn't stand by that. You want to add anything on that?
Yeah, no, that kind of stuff is ridiculous. I didn't leave the church for such a noble reason. I mostly left because
Well, at least now people could say when I tell Catholics, are you being complicit about what happened in the Catholic Church yet you're not leaving? I'm not a hypocrite. Because I literally left the church because of ethical considerations.
Right. Most of my considerations were things that just didn't make sense to me. Then again, I kind of went to a church that was sort of existed on its own. It wasn't really too much part of some other conglomeration. So that those kinds of concerns weren't necessarily mine when I left. Now, in criticizing these places, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a problem.
Yeah, and I like I said, I think this guy has not renounced his faith, which is fine either way, but at least he realizes that he's done damage to the gay community by coming up with this conversion therapy program, which I knew all along was detrimental. So, so we're going to be working backwards here again. So Ansgar and Anti-Ordinary. This is one that's relatively new. I'm going to let kind of Cheshire talk about this from her perspective. All I'm going to add on this is that I happen to get along with both of them. Anti-Ordinary and I have been patching things up, and I want to help her out as much as possible. Ansgar, of course, I think is a wonderful guy, and I wish him the best of luck in time with Nick. I want to see them both de-escalate things, but it seems to be escalating. But I will tell you this: there's a video out, I think 15 minutes ago or so, by Anti-Ordinary that I told her I'd watch. I'm more than happy to. I will always evaluate things very fairly. And I empathize with her quite a bit, but I also empathize a lot with Ansgar. So it's rough for me because I'm stuck in the middle because I really don't want to see any of them hurt. But Cheshire, why don't you kind of tell people what the story was there real quick?
So this went down while I was in a hurricane and out of power.
and by the way, I was off for 12 hours too.
So, yeah, I would like to caveat this with, I didn't get to see any of this live or get involved ahead of time. Had I been involved ahead of time, I might have been able to kind of swerve this a little bit. However, I had to play catch-up. I don't like playing catch-up, guys.
He plays mustard.
Don't do this shit while I'm away. So
if you're going to have drama, wait for Cheshire to be around, people.
Yeah, exactly. I've spent almost 6 hours going through everything, reading through the GoFundMe's, reading through the Twitter, reading through like the initial Twitter thread, reading through then every other Twitter thread got retweeted that then had different conversations going on. I went through everything that I could possibly find. The only thing that I have not seen yet is Demi's new video.
Yeah, because that's only like 12, 13 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. I just haven't seen that one yet. I may have the only other thing I haven't done is I haven't had a chance to talk to Growly and Ansgar yet, which I would like to do. I would like to get their perspective. I think I understand where they're coming from, but I don't want to assume because I haven't spoken to them yet.
Yeah, and that's the greatest thing, to go to the sources. Now, I have talked to both. I haven't talked to Growly, but I've talked to Ansgar and I've talked to AO. So I know both their positions, and I'm telling you, I really emphasize with both of them. They both make valid points, and I think they both made some honest mistakes. But there's a lot of miscommunication between the two.
There is a lot of miscommunication, and it's not the first time this kind of a miscommunication has happened. They tend to talk past each other. Now, whether that's an honest mistake or not, it's for one or two of the discussions I've seen, it does seem to be a little bit dishonest, but that was a different issue.
Well, what about the fundraiser? Can you kind of start there, maybe?
Yeah, the fundraiser from my understanding, Demi saw the fundraiser just while she was scrolling through her Twitter feed and went, "Oh, that's kind of a dumb thing to have a fundraiser for. You should be able to pay for your own shit," and decided to make a video about it. And before the video came out, while she was recording, because she had already written a bit, she had retweeted it and said as much. And then she started recording the video, because that's what she does. If you go to her channel, what she does is she finds weird or dumb shit, and then she just talks about it. Yeah. It's not a deep dive. Right. It's not like...
That's what I like about her channel, actually. She's not a deep dive kind of person, and I don't think she should be. I think she's found a niche just having very, superficial kind of her points being talked about. I like that about her channel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and so as she's recording, you can see that she's responds live to Ansgar and Growly responding to her initial tweet, where they're saying, well, here's all this other information. And she responds live on the video. Now, it's live on the video because it was recorded as she was reading it, but it wasn't a live stream. But they had given more information that was not in the initial, and still, as far as I can tell, is not in the GoFundMe. Now, I haven't checked in a few hours. I don't know if they've updated it, but that information was not in there. So there was definitely, from what I can tell, a miscommunication in what a bumper in a car is. So they described the damage to their car being that that there was bumper damage and the doors weren't opening and stuff like that. And that
some other problems too, though. There was
and they said that the car was they said the car was running. And now, for somebody who doesn't know about cars, a bumper is one very specific thing. From what I saw from the pictures and what they described, that's the front end of the car, not the bumper.
That's true.
So the best kind of miscommunication and talking past each other there is that error. And
that was a photograph. Yeah, the photograph on the GoFundMe is from the front of the car, not bumper.
Yeah, but there is a front bumper, but it's not damage to the bumper. It's damage to the entire front end.
Yeah, and the frame, and I'm sure other things.
Yeah, and Demi's criticism is that asking for the car when you actually need money for medical expenses, you should be asking for your medical expenses, not for your car, because spending however much money you need to repair this car is going to be more expensive. It is essentially, she was saying, this is kind of fiscally irresponsible, right? Which, to me, is a fair criticism. Now, I understand from Ansgar and Growly's point of view, they got really upset with that. Fine, totally. You can get upset with that. This is your livelihood at risk. You all of this shit. Yeah, be upset. However, a line was crossed at one point where one was attacking the way you went about doing your fundraiser and the information that was there or was missing from there, and the other started going after person.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a little bit of that. I mean, the way I look at it is this, and I understand AO's main point. I think she makes a good point about frivolous fundraisers in general. And by the way, Ansgar's was not frivolous. They had one for the medical. I fully supported for Growly, and I supported and I donated to this fundraiser. So clearly, I think that there was a need for it. So I'm not referring to his fundraiser when I'm talking about frivolous ones. However, I have seen frivolous fundraisers. There was a few years ago a very frivolous fundraiser that somebody had that was misleading people about it. That I called out, Reds called out. We got shit for it, if you remember that back when, but we were right on it because it was frivolous. The guy had spent money on microtransactions for a game. He blew everything. He never paid on time rent. This was one of Reg Redrick's roommates. There was a whole fiasco with that. And it was a frivolous fundraiser for him because it was misleading because he said he sold a car that he didn't sell. It got repossessed. He said he had to pay rent. She makes a good point about that.
Yeah, and if the additional information that is, as far as I know, still isn't in the GoFundMe, is not there, I think her point stands very strongly. And I don't necessarily think that the additional information changes her position.
True.
Because that extra information has nothing to do with what she was critiquing.
Yeah, I agree with
and
that.
And I think that's where most of the contention is coming from, is because they're like, you shouldn't critique us about this because these are our other actual reasons that you didn't know about.
Yeah, but she kind of did. I mean, I didn't go into explicit detail with her the exact reasons because I didn't feel like I needed to. But I told her they told her there are other reasons, and she knows that now. And she apologized. Yeah, she apologized for it.
Yeah, and she apologized, and everything had moved on for about a couple of hours, and then it started up again. There's a chunk on that GoFundMe that is all about what Demi has said on Twitter.
Yeah.
Without the context, without the apology.
And that's hard. That's hard.
That is not okay. I don't think that's okay.
It's harsh when you put stuff out there and you don't put it in context, because this is some of the things we're going to be getting into here about how important context is, because people are deliberately taking things out of context in order to promote narratives, and I'm tired of it. So I think there was something to be said on that as well. How about we kind of like we put this on the table for a while and kind of see what happens between the both of them?
Yeah, let's see where it goes. We still have to watch Demi's new video. We need to see Ansgar and Growly maybe react. Maybe they'll make their own video and reaction to be like, look, you know what? Here's where Demi's wrong. Here's what we were actually talking about. That might be the most amicable way to do it, because then they don't have to be in a chat together and maybe at each other's throats.
Agreed.
And then that will be like, okay, well then anybody has as much time as they need to actually respond and say, that's not what I'm saying, here's what I'm saying, that's not what I thought you said, here's what I think you're saying, and then they can demonstrate and lay out their points in a concise manner.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect thing. Again, we're just trying to give rational, objective things for these things that are happening. I'm not condemning either one of them. There are people I will be condemning.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't find there's a need to condemn Asgard or AO on this, right? I think that Ansgar and AO need to sort their shit out.
I think there's
I've told them both of it.
I think there's a couple things that have been said that aren't cool, but not. You don't have to write off the whole person.
Right.
This is like I don't like the way you handled this, and I'm going to make it clear to you that I don't think I like the way you said this or the way you said that. I understand that that everybody is upset, and everybody's going to say shit that they don't necessarily mean, or that they're going to overplay their hand. And but that doesn't mean condemn the person. We don't need to disavow anybody over this. I don't think.
This is what I told both of them. I think this is a weird hill to kind of die on. So we'll see how it progresses. There's other things to go on. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 4 here. Really, this one really kind of blows my mind here. People know that I've known Holykoolaid for ages, right? Thomas Westbrook. I had him on my show many times. I've been on his channel. Haven't talked to him in a very long time, except for several months. In August, I messaged him and I asked him in a private message, "Do you plan to make a video about what's been going on with some of the stuff with Non Sequitur?" And he wrote me kind of a nasty response. But all I said to him was, "Okay, whatever, fine. I mean, I was just asking. Never mind." That was it. I mean, Cheshire has seen my response to him. I didn't go on about anything. I didn't call him unethical. I just said, fine, whatever. And that's the last I heard from him. And yet today, or last night, I guess, he decides to question me about the monetary value that I would have settled for, or thinking about settling for, if I settle or says I can, and the amount that was I was throwing out there.
He was asking you about something that would be legally irresponsible for you to answer on Twitter,
Right,
given that you're currently in litigation, which was kind of a bizarre question out of nowhere. Like, I understand asking the question, but given that you haven't talked to him in months, and given his initial response, and given that he's apparently wanting to stay out of it, and given that
there's a weird thing to jump in on. Yeah,
it's a weird thing to jump in on. It's a weird way to jump in on it, and especially since like it's been well known that this has gone to litigation, and you're not talking about this anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a bizarre thing to ask you about when he knows you can't answer that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I still told him that because the first thing he was saying to me was very accusatory of where I got my numbers from. And it was very demeaning because the numbers he came up with were nothing that I've ever said before. He didn't ask me.
The numbers didn't make, and I asked him about the numbers. I was just like, where are you getting this?
Yeah,
from?
I didn't know. Well, I knew where he got the number from because he was doing basic math in his head incorrectly, trying to just evaluate things from his perspective, which he didn't know the facts on. And instead of asking me the facts like a normal human being would do, say, hey, Steve, a message, especially in private, would have been the best way. Steve, how are you arriving at this? I would have been happy to tell him, and I did making that public how I got to that number, and nobody balked at them. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's basic math here, right? I have reasons for things. But the weird
what? No.
But the weird part was,
the dog just took my spot.
When I confronted him on this, saying, hey, you just should have asked me about this, Thomas, he started going into a narrative about me asking him about making a video in private, which of course I did, and I asked other people as well, and started saying that he said, should I show your DM to everybody? That's exactly what he said. Should I show your DM to everybody about what you said?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre that.
And then he does.
It almost sounded like a threat,
right?
Like it almost sounded like he's like, "Well, should I show your DM?" Because like it sounds like he thought. It sounds like that. Assuming the best, it sounds like he thought you were saying something you weren't. That you were accusing him of something, and then he was like, "Well, I mean, I can show people that this is how hostile you were."
Yeah,
but
and had he asked me, will you show what you wrote? And I probably would have said, "Fine." There's nothing that I wrote. You read I wrote. He showed it. There's nothing bad what I wrote by any stretch of imagination. People that read it going, Thomas, what the hell do you think this is trying to show here? But I said to him, I've asked numerous people, but I never said to him I asked him in public. I asked people in private. And he threatened to show my DM. And then he went ahead and did it, saying, well, you've already said that you sent this to other people. Yeah, in private. I have a strict rule. I don't show people's private DMs. I haven't even shown Kyle's private messages, nor do I intend to.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
There's messages that you've had with Kyle that I haven't seen.
Yes.
And it was kind of bizarre. And his phrasing was like, since you said this wasn't private. But that's not what you said. At least not anywhere publicly. The only thing that you said was that you had asked the same thing of other people.
Yeah, I never said that it was public information. And, he just decided to release my private DMs. I take that personally. Friends of mine know how I am with that. I don't ever release their private DMs. Cheshire, ever shown any of your private DMs?
No.
Nobody else can say either. There's strict confidence rules I have with that, and I tell people it's very confidential. Yeah. And again, I hadn't talked to Thomas for very much since then, and all of a sudden he's doing this to me, and I was like, wow, I really can't believe that you just did that. And instead of apologizing, he ends up accusing me of abuse, manipulation, and gaslighting, and then blocks me.
Yeah, it was really bizarre because I saw the timing on that because
within about what, 15 minutes?
Oh yeah, because you sent me the message as soon as he blocked me, and that was not even because I looked because I double checked the times. There was not even like 2 minutes between when he accused you of gaslighting and when he blocked you.
Yeah, it was like he was looking for an excuse to block me all this time. Looking for a fucking excuse for some reason. Because I have been calling out people in the atheist community for tribalism for ages. I have actually said I see double standards. I see people calling out theists all the time for unethical behavior, but I don't see them calling out people of their own tribe, atheists, for unethical behavior. Now, I have actually sent this message to other people, what I asked, one of which was Rationality Rules. He messaged me back very politely. And I responded very politely. I said, fair enough. No worries. I completely understand kind of thing. Didn't say anything about it.
The weird thing is about when it comes to Holykoolaid is that he brought it up. You asked him why he was asking you about litigation, and then he brought up
I didn't mention
DMs.
anything about the video. Yeah, I didn't mention anything about the DM or the video. I didn't call him unethical about that at all.
Yeah, and you didn't even ask him if he was going to stand up against this, or this. Not until after the DMs and stuff started coming out, where you were like, what the fuck is this garbage? Because then you started explaining why you were asking those questions.
So okay, let me ask you this. First, where did he get off showing my private DM? Again, if there was a miscommunication there, which, by the way, I think you really have to read into that to read that, but
yeah, I think that at best it is a misunderstanding. However, if it was a misunderstanding, he should have apologized, taken it down, and then went from there with that communication further. If he thought you were trying to manipulate him with that message, then he should have responded by saying, I'm confused, are you trying to manipulate? He should have confronted you and asked you about that at the time. Or if he was uncomfortable talking to you about that at the time, that's fine. He can talk to you about that later. That's also fine. But the way he's gone about this doesn't make any sense to me.
He tried to frame it in a false dilemma that people called him out for. He either said, hey, Steve, well, you're manipulating me. You're saying to make a video, I'm unethical. Wait a minute. I never said that. If that was the case, I would have said it to Rationality Rules. Hey, you won't make a video, you're unethical. I didn't with Rationality Rules, and I didn't with Thomas either. I just said, never mind. I literally told him, okay, never mind, is what I told him as a response when he didn't want to make a video.
Yeah, well, because the other thing is that if you're reaching out to people who might be making videos about it, you might be trying to be helpful to them. To be like, listen, I know that your channel deals with this kind of stuff. I have this information if you would like it.
And give them a heads up and maybe take the right side on things, because in a month or so, a lot of more information is coming out. I guarantee it. And I'm giving I am literally giving people the ability to be on the right side of this. And I have gone out of my way to do so like you wouldn't believe. I even wrote Mr. Atheist an open letter, which we're going to get into next. In fact, it's a good segue. Right I agree.
Right into that.
So we'll just leave this. Look, I'm sorry Holykoolaid felt the need to block me. I don't get it. I was friends with him for 2 years or more, and all of a sudden, over 4 tweets, he blocks me. This is the atheist tribalism that I'm referring to. This is the nonsensicality that I'm referring to. This is the theist mindset of fundamentalism that atheists do have sometimes. I'm sorry. It is just pervasive in the atheist community right now because I don't understand that. And then accused me of all people of abuse, manipulation. And by the way, he had said something along the lines of he's been in abusive relationships before. I think he's projecting. And if he's projecting, I'm going to give him the most reasonable benefit of the doubt. And, at best. And I'll look past this if he ever gets over it and apologizes. I can move on from this. But I think he's projection. It's all projection here. But it was very bizarre. So anyways, segue into Mr. Atheist. So I wrote an open letter to Mr. Atheist about him rescinding his statement to me that I would get paid. We know now that that's false. Okay, again, can't talk about specifics, but we all know by now that will not happen because I've having to take legal action. So that promise is done. That statement is over. He was wrong, categorically wrong. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So I asked him, do you, Mr. Atheist, do you plan to rescind this? Do you plan to take this back and say you're wrong on it? He blocked me.
Instantaneously. It was instantaneous.
Yeah.
He also blocked Reds after when he was doing that Q&A call-in show through voicemail with Kyle. This wasn't this past one, it was the one before that. And what Reds has said was his tweet essentially along the line said, hey, I've got some questions for you if you're balls enough to take them. Yeah, and he got blocked for it. Blocked him. Yeah. He didn't even ask the question.
Yeah, so here's the funniest part. They have open phone calls where you cannot ask certain questions. Now, I take open phone calls as long as you're not on my shit list of people that I will never talk to. They know who they are. You can ask me anything you goddamn want. If I don't want to answer it, I'll just tell you. But you can still call in. But no, not with them. They will block anybody, and this is what I'm saying, that we're going to have a future episode on this, guaranteed, and a big one, massive one. So this is just preliminary stuff that we're giving you a heads up on. I gave Mr. Atheist a chance to
cool. Yeah, it's been 90 days. It's okay, though. Jimmy said Steve would get paid.
Yeah, it's okay. Jimmy, Katie, Shannon, they all said it was going to get paid. Guess what? They were all wrong. But the thing with Mr. Atheist is I gave him a chance to come on the right side of this, and instead of taking that opportunity, what do? He whitewashes everything. He hides things from his fans. He's deleting comments, and he's trying to cover it up. That is unacceptable to me. That is a sign of an unethical person. Mr. Atheist, hang on one second. Let me call him out real quick. Mr. Atheist, you are unethical. Straight up unethical. And you will have your day of reckoning. It just won't be today. But it will happen. Trust me. Go ahead.
Do you want to move on?
No, you go ahead and say something if you want to add on
I was just going to say I had a conversation with him about this a little bit, that I thought he was kind of maybe shooting himself in a bit in the foot by having a Q&A call-in show with Kyle specifically, and then saying, but don't talk about non sequitur stuff.
Yeah, that's
not in that he shouldn't have Kyle on, and not in that he
I could have cared less who he has on.
And even if he doesn't want to talk about non sequitur stuff, the issue there is that he isn't clear on what his stance is.
He doesn't tell anybody. People can disagree with me, agree with me. They can say they don't like who I have on, whatever. But I guarantee you, people know my stance.
Even if he agrees with Kyle, that's fine. If you want to say that, like,
that's
know what, I trust Kyle. I think Kyle's right. I think Steve's going to get paid. I think this, and this.
Which he did initially, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I even said, "Hey, look, Steve understands where I'm at," and I said, "Fine, we'll leave it at there." But after litigation started, he knows he was wrong, and I called him back on it.
Sure.
And I said, "Hey."
Even if he doesn't want to rescind that, or even if he says, you know what, he didn't get paid, there are reasons why he didn't get paid. I've talked to Kyle, or even if I haven't talked to Kyle, but even if he was still siding with Kyle, that's fine. He can have that side. He can have that opinion. He's allowed to do that. The problem is when you have somebody with that much controversy, and when you don't make your stance clear, because now people are like, oh, so you're supporting this person whether you are or not, and if you're just going to block people from trying to clarify, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
I agree. Helios, $50 super chat. Thank you, Helios. He says, as per promise to Cheshire, here's my donation for making me laugh like hell on Drunken Peasants. Wish we could have seen it live. Cheshire and I are going to be working out some kind of financial deal. We're working on some kind of product line and some other things to help her channel out. So I just want people to know there is going to be some kind of fiscal compensation for Cheshire. We just have to figure it out.
Everything is in hurry up and wait mode. There's been so much stuff going on. It's
ridiculous.
Just you know what? We'll deal with it when we get there.
We have a lot of things in the works. The things is we have to wait about a month, give or take, to even start a lot of processes, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. So I hope people just trust us that we are going to be doing stuff. It's just.
Tell you what,
there's stuff we got to deal with first.
We're saying this live on air exactly that we are working on this, and that there is deals in the works, and there will be things happening. And if Steve fucks me, I'll make sure you all know.
There you go. I like most people, I have an actual reputation to uphold, which is kind of funny. I hate it's so funny the other day, and we'll move on a little bit in a second here, but it's so funny. Like the other day, do you remember we're in Red's Rhetoric Hangout? And I don't remember who it was. It doesn't really freaking matter. But we had called them out and said, hey, you want to come on in the hangout, come on in, just give us your email. And they said, oh, I don't trust giving my email to Reds because blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you understand Red's Rhetoric has a reputation, a good one. And if he was to give out your email and doxing, it would fuck him greater than anything else that person could actually say. So giving your information to me or to Reds or anybody else that has a reputation of not doxing and to not showing private information, that would hurt us, not them. Right, so that was a bullshit excuse, in my opinion. But
yeah, well, that's good. Well, one, it implies that you guys are trolls, and inviting them to have an actual discussion is not troll behavior. So It's mislabeling at best. And two, there would be no gain to them giving out your email. So
it's email.
What would the point?
Yeah, it would just affect us, right? Oh, you can't trust Steve. If I tell you I'm not going to disclose information, I'm not going to disclose that information. And by the way, I have gotten burned because I have not disclosed information, because I have exculpatory evidence that I could show people on many cases, but I won't do it because I have to weigh the greater good, and me showing private communication is not the greater good at the moment.
How you still haven't shown the full DMs going on with Holykoolaid trying to call you out without putting the full context?
Oh yeah, and by the way, Cheshire had asked him, why don't you show the whole DM there, Holykoolaid? I'm not going to show his private messages, but he should, because it was nasty to me. It was really nasty.
Well, the thing is that I had sent him two messages. I said, and these are public, I didn't DM him or anything. One of them said, well, can you show us the whole context? Because you seem to be saying Steve was saying this thing, but that's not necessarily what this is showing. Do you have more context so we can kind of get a feel for what this conversation was? And then two, I said, hey, seems like there was a misunderstanding about that this information wasn't actually private, just that he was asking, and explained what we explained earlier about how this wasn't public information, and that maybe you should take it down. And
Which he didn't.
He doesn't answer me.
Which he didn't. He left it up. No, knowing that it wasn't public information, he still left it up. I'm sorry, that's just unexcusable, and I find that to be an ethical concern of mine. Now, if it wasn't anything bad, but still, and then people were saying, "What the hell you think you're showing this for, Thomas?" I will completely. If you want to go read what I wrote, it's there. Go ahead. I'll tell people it wasn't anything bad. But for some reason, he took it very, very poorly. And okay, I just said never mind. But then he brings it up later on. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have been discussed. Anyway, we're going.
So we're going. All right. So anyways, we're going to move on. So anyways, got that with Mr. Atheist. We're going to wrap that up in a bun, like a man bun.
Man bun?
Yeah, he's hiding things from his fans.
Oh my god!
And
my favorite. This blew my mind. There was one time people were freaking out about calling it a man bun. They were saying it was sexist or whatever.
I remember that.
And he went along with that.
Yep.
But there's videos. If you go back and watch his videos, he calls it a man bun.
Yeah, but when Kyle called it a man bun, some of his fans lost their shit.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like Jimmy said, no, I call it a man bun. He didn't say anything. He just
I know. What? Hey, look, Jimmy's audience is his audience, right? And I don't know if they give a damn about what's ethical or not. I really have no idea. But when he's hiding things from his fans deliberately, trying to cover things up, I'm going to call him out on it, and he will be called out on this. I guarantee it. But anyways, moving on to the second to last thing before we get to the main topic. Godless Engineer and Kaitlyn Chloe. My God. I have said before they're fair game, and this is what I mean by that. Fair game to be called out for their bullshit. Those two are the most dishonest, disreputable, unethical, whitewashing, history rewriting people I've ever met in my entire life. Kaitlyn Chloe literally has said that she has never accused me of anything. Bullshit.
Dear Lord, Steve, tell us how you really feel.
It's not even in the realm of reality for her to say that her and Godless Engineer never accused me of anything. They did for months accuse me of things. Mm-hmm. And now they're saying, oh, that never happened. Show me evidence of that. Really? Well, we have a lot of evidence for that, but I'm not going to get into the screenshots. But people know there's evidence out there. I don't even have to show them. They can go, oh my God, and say, are you kidding me? And seriously, they're rewriting history, and Kaitlyn is playing a victim card, saying, I don't want to deal with any of this. Yet she continues to talk about me for some reason and accuse me of things and say she never lied about me or never accused me of anything. And I'm going to call her out on that. And by me calling her out on that, she's going to play this victim card that she's being harassed and bullied, and have Godless Engineer literally message people like he used to do with me in private, telling people they're being bullies, which he did to certain people.
About that.
Yeah.
Yep.
People that are very kind people, he called bullies in DM.
People that were even on agreeing with them, even if they weren't fully agreeing with them, people that were being kind to them and being like, hey, yeah, maybe this is inappropriate, or everybody's heated, maybe if you take a step back, or they're like, it's cute, you're a bully.
Yeah.
What? Yeah,
it's like if you dare criticize them for their bullshit, and I'm sorry, but GE and KC, you two are pathological bullshitters. Path of fucking logical, man. And if you call them out on it, you're all of a sudden harassing them. No, that's not harassment. That is calling you out on your bullshit. There's a huge distinct difference there. Okay? But yeah, so they are basically trying to rewrite history here, and I'm not going to let that happen. They have accused me of things. Those accusations have been categorically demonstrated to be false, mostly because of what's going on with litigation and, of course, with Nicholas and Ansgar, who did a brilliant job on explaining all that. But moreover, if you actually looked at the litigation, half the shit they said is completely wrong. I mean, it is demonstrably wrong for legal reasons. But I can't get into that, unfortunately. Give us some time, give it a month or two. But anyways, people know they're wrong, right? But instead of them manning up and saying, yeah, I was sorry about that, I had a false accusation, I got bad information or whatever. No, they're trying to rewrite it as if they never said that.
Yeah, and the thing is that they're not even trying to play like they were correct, which is kind of bizarre. Like they're not.
No, they're literally trying to change history to the people that are. And I watched in real time KC talking to somebody that I don't remember who they are or even saw them before, but they were basically like trying to rewrite the narrative, and I'm like, oh bullshit. So what they're doing is they're placating their little fan group, their little echo chamber. That same thing like EOT and Godless and those guys in the little echo chamber, which we're going to get to next. Good segue like that.
Hey,
Caffeine.
you're good at this.
I've done this once or twice.
Really quick, I linked the thread that has the screenshots in it from Twitter in the description. So if you'd like to see the screenshots of what we're talking about, because like I said, this is a live video, like we were talking about. We're not going to go in the screenshots here.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will do a deep dive video about it.
Oh, we are gonna probably I might as well tell people we are gonna do a deep dive someday.
Are we?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But hopefully I'm just gonna. Can I do a tease? You like to be teased, Chesh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that came out so wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little teaser. I want to do I'm going to do a deep dive on some of this stuff, but hopefully I'm not going to do it on this channel or anyone that I don't currently own. All right then. All right, so let's get into the main crux of this stuff. This is like really what I think is the most important of all this stuff. The other stuff I think is important, but this is critical to me. This is Essence of Thought and Rachel Oates and what Essence of Thought has been doing in the community. Rachel Oates, as people know, is an atheist YouTuber, has been on this channel. I knew her when she had just a nominal amount of subs. I said she was going to be a superstar. I have the utmost respect for her. I love her content. And again, this is why I'm saying it's not all the atheist community. She is a really honorable, ethical person who I could not speak more highly of. Essence of Thought is the opposite. He is the antithesis of this. And so he's been basically just going on rants that if anybody who doesn't agree with him, you are a violent transphobe, is one of the things that he had called her and other people. And Rachel had I guess we can say a breakdown of sorts.
Yep. So I'll do a quick,
please,
a brief history. Faithless Form happened, and the garbage went down with rationality rules, where people were calling him transphobic. He got disavowed by the ACA, which was bizarre, and people were calling him out for some reasonable errors that he made in his video, and some things that maybe weren't worded very well, but people were pushing that to the point of calling him transphobic, which I think most people will agree that that's not really fair. So what he did is he left that video up and made another video correcting those errors, and he gave a few reasons as to why in his correction video as to why he didn't take that video down. Essence of Thought and that group of people were the ones forefront pushing that he was a rape, or we've been talking about rape apologetics.
that he was a transphobe.
That he was a transphobe. And
it's all these narrative, right? You're either a transphobe, rape apologist, bigot, whatever, Nazi lover.
So they were pushing for him being a transphobe and that he should rectify his shit, and so he did, and that wasn't good enough for them, and they started pushing harder, and then they started pushing on anybody who would not call him out as a transphobe. So if anybody was like, oh, you know what, I don't agree with what he's saying. However, I also don't think he's a transphobe, which is essentially what Rachel Oates ended up saying eventually. Eventually, she made a video saying, you know what, I don't know about sports. I can't speak on the topic. The amount of time it would take me to research and actually be able to form what might be considered a valid opinion about trans people in sports is more time than I have to spend. I have to make my own videos, and sports also don't interest me, so... But I've dealt with him and I've talked with him on a personal level, and I don't feel I don't know. I don't think he's transphobic, but I don't know what a good answer would be for trans people in sports. So that wasn't good enough for them, and they went in on her hard, and they kept going in on her, and and I think you called them out publicly, didn't you?
Yeah,
for
but
being like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, but see, some people don't take my advice, and you know what? It doesn't really end well for them. And I tell people, you cannot satisfy Essence of Thought. You cannot do it. He is a pure 100% victim. That's all he does. He plays the victim. He'll start shit, then he plays the victim. KC does the same thing. And Chloe does the exact same thing. I know this narrative all too well. Start a fight, and then retreat and then call people labels, and then
tone policing.
I'm the victim,
twisting the narrative.
I've seen it too many times. Got it down in art form that I've seen
what someone else's intentions are.
I love that one too. Yeah, love when people police your intentions, right? Instead of asking you.
Oh my god!
It's like let's try to read into this, and they always get it wrong. And I tell people lately, look, especially with me, if you're going to try to read into my emotions, you're going to get it wrong almost every single time.
Especially on Twitter.
Yeah, especially on Twitter, it's not going to happen. A couple of super chats real quick. Flint says, £5, some cash for you to get a new puppy kicking shoes, Steve. Can I spend that on getting a puppy actually first? Because I really want a puppy. I love puppies.
You want a puppy that you can kick?
Well, why not? How do you kick a puppy if you don't have a puppy?
It's true.
Yeah, you just kicking air at that point.
Right. I will pet you swiftly once with my foot.
Mr. Meat Lover, £2. Essence of Thought, please. Yeah, that's trending, by the way, now, I think. Essence of Thought, please. And, what is it? Ethopol. I love that one.
You talk about kicking puppies and my dog starts barking at you because he is unimpressed.
He's a big puppy, though.
He is a big puppy.
But I love that Ethopol.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, who was it? Sarah, said that. She's like, if you see anybody saying things that, Essence of Thought might disagree with, contact Ethopol. Be vigilant. But yeah, so in a nutshell, then Rachel Oates just was being harassed by him, just bullied by him.
Oh yeah, nonstop. This wasn't like, there was a couple of tweets went out on Twitter calling her a bigot or something. No. They accused her of supporting violence against trans people, which never happened.
Oh, by the way,
he did a decent breakdown of this actually.
She's not the first person he's ever called a violent transphobe. I mean, that's kind of his go-to thing. He thinks that anybody who doesn't agree with him his words are violence, and I've shat on him for that. Flint Reed, £2, a bit more for the puppy. Thank you. I can actually get a bigger dog now, I guess. But the thing with the Essence of Thought is he will go after people that he finds have weaknesses. Rachel Oates, I'm going to be honest, has a weakness in the fact that she's very caring. She's very giving, very loving, has a big heart. That's not. I mean, I'm not trying to say it pejoratively that she has a weakness. But something that people can exploit. It is. I don't have that problem. So he can't do shit to me. He blocks me, right? Blocked me right out of the gate, right?
If you're a bully, you pick your targets.
Right, exactly.
Some people are easier to bully than others.
But look what happens, like, Undoomed called him out. Now Plum called him out. Mm-hmm. He really doesn't go after them too much. He didn't say shit to Undoomed. And Undoomed called him out.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That, like, the thing is like, bullies are usually pussies.
Yeah. Yeah, or even Anti-Ordinary says in live chat, you say what you want about Anti-Ordinary, she's no pussy. She can deal with bullies. I mean, but Helios, $5. Have either of you tried Greek coffee? And if you call it Turkish coffee, that is heresy. Yes, this money is blatant excuse to donate money. Oh, thank you, Helios. Yeah, I gotta get more coffee with a little bit of spice rum in it today because this was a long show. But I'm gonna get more coffee because I need it. But thank you for that.
Listen, we woke up to this going on. This was not like...
Oh my God, you guys don't even know what goes on behind the scenes. It's ridiculous.
We had like 3 or 4 other topics planned, and then just everything was blowing up, and we're like, we're doing this. This is what the show is about now, always.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on that. We literally just in the last couple of hours have said, you know what, this is what we think we want this show to be, and we're working details out, and I think it's going to be brilliant. I think that instead of having a show where you just talk shit, this is the opposite. We have rational conversations about stuff that's going on in the community and kind of point out what's going on. Now, granted, we're going to have our own opinions on it.
Sure, yeah.
But it's not shit talking. It is objectively looking at things, evaluating.
Yeah, if you've noticed, we haven't called anybody names.
Right.
The most we did, we said...
Not names, but I mean, I think they're pieces of crap. Does that count?
Yeah, I guess that counts. But like... The most that we've done is we have accused people of lying.
Yes. Oh, that's demonstrable. Yeah, that's demonstrable.
Yeah, we have said that this doesn't make sense, or we're not really sure about what's going on with this. We've also said, you know what, we don't know the whole story of this or this, so we're gonna wait and see how it pans out before we really maybe dive too much into it. And like, so none of this is, we're not accusing anybody of anything that isn't obvious.
Right.
Like we're accusing
and I'm being really mellow.
Of being a bully.
This is mellow for
that's
me.
The worst that we're
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. I mean, people see me on Twitter. I can go off when I need to, but I'm being really reserved, and I think that's the approach that we should probably take for this, this show. So
the point is to be not necessary unless it's something that is so obvious.
So
like you're
egregious.
not. I don't think you're accusing somebody if it's already been demonstrated.
Like for back to Matt Powell, anybody can say Matt Powell is a piece of shit and a piece of human garbage, right? That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that because guess what? He really actually is. Steven Anderson, same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's just not. I mean, I'm not going to go out and call people names that I really just have dislikes for. Like I try not to, at least. I mean,
I actually don't mind a little bit of name calling.
Yeah, no, I don't either. No, I don't either, and I do it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite, but I reserve certain things for certain people. Like they're demonstrably. Yeah. Who's going to argue that Matt Powell's a good person or Steven Anderson's a good person? Nobody.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we've got to accusing anybody of anything is the chunk of the atheist community being incredibly tribalistic.
Yeah,
I think that's the worst.
So kind of, do you want to like go kind of a bit further?
Right. Yeah, so essentially, the bullying got so bad that Rachel was starting to break down, and then finally reach a breaking point where she made a video that she's now privated, and I'm not gonna. That's totally fine. I think it's totally reasonable to have privated that video. And then she wrote a very long. It's like essentially a dissertation. And I recommend that go to her Twitter, read it. It's incredibly insightful. It's incredibly insightful. It gives screenshots. It gives what she was thinking. And even within that, she's writing about how she's worried for essence of thought.
Yeah, she. But again, she sticks her hand out like I do a lot, and she got a bit. She got bit hard. Yep. A lot harder than I've ever been bit because people would not dare. EOT would never try that shit with me. But Rachel was very sensitive, and. Yeah, unfortunately,
which isn't a bad thing. Being sensitive isn't a bad thing.
No. Again, I don't mean weakness as in something that she needs to fix. It's just something that can be exploited.
Yes.
I don't think she should change at all. But a little modification. I don't think she should be so trusting to people to try to think that she can save everybody. You can't. I've learned that
I think
myself.
That's an issue I think that's an issue of experience, not an issue of personality.
Does
that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So totally. Yeah. It's not a personality fault.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of people who are emotional naturally isn't a bad thing, but it is easily exploited. Yeah. And that's just kind of the way it is.
So I don't know how many people actually saw Rachel's video. It was very disturbing to say the least. And then what I think exacerbated it on is instead of people, or certainly some people, like Essence of Thought, maybe backing up and said, hey, you know what, I'm sorry I pushed you to this, because there was no question that Rachel was in a bad emotional state. She was crying out for help. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it was not crocodile tears or fakery or anything like that. I mean,
she has gotten help. For anybody who's worried about her, she's gotten help. She's with family. She's with friends. She looks like she's going to be okay.
Yeah. And so his thing was basically, he tried to torment her even more. I mean, he basically was just shitting on her even more, saying how, oh, well, white woman, something with tears, or I don't remember exactly what he said. But
yeah, he posted an article that said that white women use tears to basically detract or to garner sympathy away from any other minority.
Yeah, it was just blatant, just more harassment of her. It was disgusting, to be honest with you.
And then he tried to play the good guy by saying he called the cops to go check on her, as if he was and then framed it as if he was the only one helping her.
Right.
And if you read her dissertation, she's like, the cops called me after they busted down the door from my old apartment and caused only more stress and a waste of police resources, which she then felt bad about.
Yeah. Let's think about this, and I'm going to analyze this real quick, if I may.
Yeah. No,
okay, so. She was getting, after that video, many people reached out to her. Many people, we all did our thing. People had found out she was in a safe place. She was being taken care of. She had a GoFundMe that people had started. Many of us donated to it. She tripled the goal from it in a matter of like hours. And
she's already talking about that she's going to use the minimum amount and then donate the rest of it.
Right. And so this money was to make sure that she could get the help she needed without having to do videos, because, she's living on that now because she's no longer with Dan and she doesn't have much of an income, and I get that. But like you said, she's going to use, and she asked the people too. She's like, I hope you understand. I'm going to be using this for what I need.
Yeah,
and blah, blah.
she said, if you guys are okay
Right.
with me doing this, if everybody goes back to her and says, you know what, we want you to make sure you can have like a little pot on the back burner just in case, which is what, I mean, I would almost want people to go do that, but do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, but I think she should keep it myself. I don't think she should donate it, only for the fact, like you said, she may need it for reserve thing. Put it in a trust fund or just put it in a fund something.
Yeah, and you know what? If she wants to go that far because donating is a fantastic idea. So if she wants to do that, I think it would be best for her to keep that as a pot to the side. Once she gets herself stabilized, save money up so it's equivalent to that, and then donate it.
Yeah.
So don't donate
whatever.
it right away. Just build it up and then so that way, because the people who donated want to make sure that you're okay, and creating a little bubble for yourself is important, so that way you are okay, so those people are still doing that, and you can kind of, by doing it that way, you can
I agree, but whatever she decides to do with it, that's her choice. I support her 100% either way, no big deal.
Agreed.
But here's the thing, it's just a thought. Later on, after the fact, wrote a letter with Miss Snarky. I guess she kind of helped him with that, I get, from what I understand, or put it out that they was it Miss Snarky? I'm pretty sure it was, but if I'm not on that, I will correct that. But it was either Miss Snarky or his girlfriend or wife or whatever. I don't know. Somebody helped him, but I thought Miss Snarky was involved in this. But I'm vague on these details. Sure. But I'm gonna throw that out there as a possibility. But he was like, oh, I now I'm concerned about RO, and I call the police, blah blah blah. Dude, she was already taken care of. You did it to protect your own ass. He literally had said to her, you should disappear off the earth. So, what did she say?
He said you
should exit from the earth. Exit from the earth.
Yeah.
And if she would have killed herself, right? By the way, people have know this now. She has, depression and possibly suicidal thoughts before. To say that to somebody is just reprehensible and beyond immoral. To say that, I get off every time on people. I shouldn't say get off. I have bad choice words. I go off. Bad phrasing on that one. I go off on people that will talk about telling people to kill themselves. I have no tolerance for that. And if she would have killed herself, how much responsibility would he have had? I think he would have had a tremendous amount of responsibility, both legally, ethically, morally, everything. And so I think he was doing this to try to cover his ass and change the narrative to say, oh, look how much I'm concerned about Rachel now. Bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty. The thing is that she asked for apologies or asked for them to just stop multiple times, and realistically that should have been good enough. That should have been good enough to be like, okay, okay guys, you know what, we can still disagree and we can still think these things about her, but we need to lay off of her directly, because that kind of harm, this is what I'm talking about when I say the internet is a dangerous place. The internet kills people.
Yes.
People will die.
But this is what I've said before, and I actually got lambasted for this one time. I was talking to somebody. I'm not gonna name them because I don't want to start drama. But
yeah, that's fine.
I was talking about something, and I said, look, if you or anybody else thinks you're ever threatened on the internet, and it's a viable threat, there is always that option you have, just to back off from the internet for a while, right? Just let it die out, block all the people that are causing this, and not be such a public person. There is always that option, right? I got shit for that as being accused of more like a person who's blaming the rape victim or something like that. Well, we shouldn't have to do that. I agree, you shouldn't have to. Okay, but that's not the argument. The argument is if you're threatened and you really think there's a viable, credible threat, you need to take certain precautions. You have that ability. I agree that you shouldn't have to, but that's a completely different question, right?
Yeah, the question is whether or not the victim of this, that option exists, and it's up to the victim to make that decision about if they're going to fight or if they're going to step back for a little while. And I think more to your point is that you need to do what's best for you, and you need to do what's best for your stability, and if that is taking a break from the internet, then that's totally okay, and you should absolutely be able to do that without feeling bad or feeling obligated.
Yeah, and one thing that I think Rachel should have done is blocked him along, not dealt with him.
Yeah, that would have been blocking him. Probably would have. I mean, to be in her defense, from reading her big thing. I don't know what to call it. It's just a big breakdown.
Oh yeah. We go into that real quick because she wrote a bunch of stuff on a Google Doc, and
Yeah.
I don't fault her for it. I get why she did that. I really do. She needed to express her feelings.
I love that.
She
That
needed
was
to
amazing.
answer.
She should publish that.
It was brilliant. She answered questions. She answered them extremely well, extremely detailed, and it was a very good cathartic thing for her.
Yes, and I honestly think she should publish it. I think that should be on Kindle. But when she's talking about what's going on, one of the reasons why I don't think why she chose to not block Essence of Thought and why she continued to engage was because, one, she feels for Ethel Peter, and two, because she's being slandered and her public reputation is important to her career and getting paid by him doing this.
I get that.
Harming her livelihood. So that's kind of the direction she seemed to have been thinking from my interpretation.
Yeah, I don't begrudge her for that. I don't fault her. Look, I'm the same way. I am one of the center of people for character assassination. For some reason, that's like the game of the day. Let's see what we could try to character assassinate Steve with. It has been a running thing for years. I'm used to it. I can handle it. I can defend myself. People now know that when people do that, they're full of shit, and not one of them has ever demonstrated anything to what they've ever said about my character. Not one.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens when you ask anybody for evidence every single time?
They say that your guys are just trolls, and I don't give my email to trolls.
Yeah, or they just block you, or they say, "Here's a video." That's it. They never actually tell me anything or anybody else when they ask for evidence. I go, "Here's a video." Okay, whatever. But anyways, that's the game of the day. Let's try to character assassinate. So I can at least handle that. I'm used to it. And I think my fans and most of the followers recognize by now the people that do that, they have no real argument. They just want to character assassinate people. But with Rachel, she takes it very personally, right? And she thinks she needs to respond to EOT's nonsense because she was character assassinated. She was the violent transphobe, he called her.
Yeah, well, her and Shannon are a lot alike in that way, where they're kind to a fault, where they want everybody to get along. They believe that people can learn to communicate and be better to each other.
And I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't fault them for it. They're very idealistic, but I don't take that approach.
Well, the thing is that you can't do that with everybody. You can't. It's just not. Well, yeah, sure, and that's fine.
That's idealism versus more of a realism kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're welcome to
absolutely
try, and I don't fault them for trying.
No, it's not anybody's fault.
No, and sometimes it is. Sometimes there's a situation where burp. Excuse me.
Speaking of which, I gotta go get some more coffee.
Yeah,
but I want to hear you on this.
I guess I'll just hold down the fort.
Well, finish your thing. I want to hear what you have to say on it real quick. Then I want to go.
I think that there are some people who just don't get along. Period. It doesn't matter, and it's by no fault of their own. It is possible that Essence of Thought and Rachel Oates just even if one wasn't bullying the other, and even if there wasn't a trans agenda going or whatever their positions were on these things, even if that didn't exist, there is a decent chance that the two of them just would not connect as people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
And that happens. Then when you start throwing contentions into things, it's just gonna get worse
But do you agree? Do you agree with me that she probably should just look at? Not many people buy into EOT's bullshit. Her character would not be affected by anything he says. Just like when EOT called me transphobe, a few people bought into that crap, but most people recognized it as bullshit. Anybody with a brain would recognize it as bullshit. So I didn't really care that much. I was like, nobody's going to believe him. And the ones that do already have, some narrative against me anyway. So whatever, I don't care.
I think the only good thing that came out of her addressing Essence of Thought was her breakdown as to what she was talking about when it came to rationality rules and what her stance was. Because I think that was a very good video, and I think it was reasonable for her to clarify and want to clarify based on...
Which she did a brilliant job, did she not?
Exactly. She did a great job, and it was more than enough to clear the air and all that good stuff. And so I think up to that point, I think was fine. And then she tried to leave it alone and then just couldn't.
All right, we got a question real quick, and then I'll get some coffee while you answer it because I know you're going to answer the way I would because we just think exactly alike because she's my people here. Question from Intrigued Feline: does this character assassination bits fit into the current cancel culture, which we talked about the other day? Let me get some coffee while you answer. Mr. Meat Lover, 5 pounds. Steve McRae is the Zodiac Killer. Make your own McRae spear. I like that. And then David Worley says, Holykoolaid posted a reply to you on Twitter 1 minute ago. I'm not going to go look right now. First of all, he blocked me.
He can't see it anyway.
But he may have unblocked me. But here's the thing. I said what I had to say on this. I was actually very congenial and actually said to him, hey, he might have projected, and if he wants to back it up, I'm okay with that. I don't see how you go from 0 to blocking somebody that you've known for 2 years, in any real sense, because of...
Especially after you fucked up by showing the DMs.
Yeah, because he showed my private DMs, and all of a sudden I'm the abuser, I'm the manipulator.
Even if it was an honest accident.
So I'm hoping that if he did say something, it was an apology, but if it's not, then he's just exacerbating, and I just don't want to deal with it. But
it'd be really weird to apologize to somebody you have blocked.
Well, I may have unblocked me. I don't know, but he said posted a reply to me. So I don't know if David's saying that he has unblocked me and reposted something to me, or that he's just said something about a statement on this. But right. we'll see.
Go get your coffee.
All right.
I will
answer that question.
Cancel culture.
I'm gonna mute my mic, but I want to make sure the outside people.
Hello. Can you guys still hear me? I'm sure it's fine. I'll answer the question anyway. Go away, Steve. This is my show now. You're fixing your hair. I can't hear you. You're muted. All right. So essentially, all right. Well, that was adorable. So to answer the cancel culture question, yeah, some of it is. Not everything about it is, but when it comes to things like transphobia, and when it comes to things like a difference between having a dissenting opinion or disagreeing about something and jumping to character assassination. So if somebody says something you don't like, and maybe it does hurt you financially or in some way, the response isn't to frame this person for things that they didn't do, just to disagree or take the criticism and say, okay, well, you know what, maybe I should have done this better. But once you start going down this fucking road of just you just gone down this rabbit hole of you don't even know where you are anymore. This isn't even Wonderland. We've gone beyond Narnia. We've gone beyond Wonderland. So cancel culture to me is I'm still a little bit vague and kind of, it's weird to me because it seems to kind of crop up where people are trying to... You're muted, yeah. It seems to crop up in strange places where it can kind of exist on any topic, which is kind of bizarre. Do you think every streamer should have a sign on us that says you're muted? Yes, that would be great. I wanna make a shirt that says, on the back of it, it says, "Do try to keep up," because I think that's really funny. I've already made a new smug for anybody who's going to be interested in getting merchandise. I've already made a new smug, so it looks way better than the old smug. Quick, while Steve's gone, lock him out and take the show. Yes! It's mine! The channel is mine! And I think we got a super chat. Yeah, we did. Steve was the second gunman on the grassy knoll. From the evil Scotsman.
I heard that. By the way, I might have put a little bit too much spiced rum in this time, but that's okay. It's going to be a Caffeine Corner / rum and coke day, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, if it makes it feel any better, it's already it's 4 p.m. for me.
People are now going, damn it, Steve came back. They were you know what? I tell you what, Cheshire, why don't you make an executive decision, then you just own the channel.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Done.
Okay, there you go.
It's mine now.
It's all hers! It's all hers!
All the super chats from this video are gonna go to me. I'm kidding. No, they're not.
The whole channel's yours.
We already talked about it.
You own the channel now. That's how it works, right?
Right. Listen, I'm gonna need you to give me all of the permissions for SEO reasons.
Oh, now you just went dank. You went full dank.
Full dank.
Oh God. Let's see. People are messaging me here. Cheers to the
Custom
painkiller.
printed urinal pucks.
What the hell?
Like for my dog. I have my dog's face on them because his name is Puck.
Oh, okay. Pee or not to pee? That is the question.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what we should
Steve
have.
co-wrote every Nickelback song from Reed.
Let's not get crazy here, Reed. Jeez, man. You know,
You guys are gonna hate me. There's actually a handful of Nickelback songs that I actually like.
that's okay. Hey, I admitted to liking some Taylor Swift songs the other day, so whatever. I admitted that on air, so.
Yeah, I also kind of like the attitude that the band has to how much everybody hates them. They're just like, yeah, whatever, fuck it.
Hey, they're making money, right? I mean,
yeah, they don't care.
They're making money. Sorry, as back to get on topic here. I didn't hear what you said or heard about cancel culture, but I'm sure that I agree with you because I just am not a fan of cancel culture. This is what I've always said. Anybody who tells me who I can or cannot have on this channel, I'm just going to tell them piss off and don't watch. I'm never going to capitulate to that. I'm sorry. I never have, never will. People want to make videos. Steve had this person on there. He's an apologist. Or Steve had this person on. Therefore, he promotes these positions. Hey, you know what? That's idiotic. It's stupid.
Steve, you have me on. You're obviously pro-goblin, which means you're anti something else.
I'm anti-troll, pro-goblin.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got to get a halfling and a half orc in here and be perfect. Steve was responsible for changing the in-brew recipe. That in-brew?
The in-brew?
Earn brew, IRNBRU recipe. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry.
That's making me think that they might be meaning the coffee at Tim Hortons, which would be really funny if that's what they meant.
Could very well be. Taylor hot, but Taylor is hot while Nickelback is man. Yeah, Taylor Swift is. I like her.
I like a handful of Taylor Swift songs as well. I usually don't try and judge a band or a group based on all of their songs. I usually just kind of pick and choose shit I like from wherever.
Was it one with the blank check thing? That was
Iron Brew. It's a nasty Scottish soda drink.
Oh, okay. See, this show's not just to inform; it's also educational on these types of various topics like coffee. Steve McRae, let's see. Steve McRae, Cheshire is 95% of the sexy. Her coffee cup is the other 5%. Sorry, Steve McRae. I don't give it 1% on that. Like, really? Not even 1 freaking percent? Jeez, man.
Feels bad, man.
David Worley, here. I gotta scroll up here. I missed what he said. Steve McRae was responsible for New Coke, which is better.
Hey, you guys remember when Coke and Pepsi swapped recipes?
Something along those lines, yeah. I like Pepsi better, actually. Coke is better for mixed drinks.
It is now. It used to be the other way around. So it used to be that Coke was sweeter. The reason I know this is for a few reasons, but one of them being that I can always recognize which one it is every single time.
I can taste Coke or Pepsi and I can tell you the difference, absolutely.
It's so easy.
Not even a problem.
The sweeter one used to be Coke, but they swapped it, and now Pepsi is the sweeter one. So if you're ever doing those challenges at like a fair or whatever, whichever one is the sweeter one is Pepsi.
Yeah, I much rather have a can of Pepsi than a can of Coke. But for drinks, I'd rather have Coke, so I'm not trying to just either one. They're both good for different reasons.
Yeah, it depends on what you're drinking. Spiced rum with Coke is really good because it makes it taste like vanilla Coke.
That's what I've got. And I'm not kidding. If you ever had Admiral Nelson, it has a very amazing hint of vanilla to it. It smells like vanilla. It doesn't really taste too much like vanilla. I mean, somewhat. But it has a very spicy, vanilla-y flavor to it, or at least... whiffing of it, smell of it, so I like that. Aussie Globehead, $5 Australian or $50 Australian. Thank you, Aussie. Wow. He says, Steve,
Aussie!
I got my brain cells back, so I ripped up the 12-page complaint. By the way, it's 10 pages now. It was 12 pages. That's when I used to say it was 12 pages. After it was filed, we whittled it down to be very more concise. And after going through multiple other senior things, it's down to 10 pages. Again, public knowledge. So this is nothing. I'm not talking about the court case. 10 pages. Copernicus.
I agree. Hangovers are for amateurs. Hangovers are absolutely for amateurs.
I've
had a good number of hangovers.
I haven't really had a really major hangover, but the last time I had a rum and coke night, I felt it the next day. I definitely did. Had to recover.
Oh, yeah.
Copernicus, $2. Holding for the return of Crystal Pepsi. No. anything that has like 0 in it when it comes to Pepsi or Coke, I'm not a big fan of. Rockstar I like. The zero rock stars I like.
All right. Do we have anything more to go over for Rachel Oates? And Essence of Thought?
Not necessarily, except that again, I want people to know that she is in a good place. She's having.
We all told Essence of Thought to go fuck himself in Demi's video.
Yeah, why don't you promote that real quick? Because I think people should go watch Demi's video on that.
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, Demi is Anti-Ordinary. People.
Anti-Ordinary, yeah.
Not doxing her.
Anti-Ordinary made a video about the Rachel Oates Essence of Thought situation, which is like a little bit of a breakdown and a little bit of opinion and mostly calling out bullshit. And a few of us had thrown our voices in to be like, yeah, listen, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, so we all read a script, and then she would edit the script, so we all would say a word and say, look, I'm not a bigot, I'm not a transphobe, and at the very end say Essence of Thought, and you can fuck yourself. I think that video spoke for itself, and I think that Demi pointed out very poignantly that Essence of Thought is basically, he doesn't speak for all trans people. Matter of fact, he doesn't speak to hardly any of them. He is irrelevant when it comes to these discussions because he has excluded himself from these discussions. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Essence of Thought, objectively subjective, or the gaslighting, whatever he goes by now. Miss Snarky, Christiosity, they have recused themselves into a echo chamber of their own making and have relegated themselves to be absolutely inconsequential to these types of discussions. They cannot handle these types of discussions, so they try to shut it down. The video that I had with Lizzie and with Sarah on rationality rules, I think was a discussion that should have been done months ago.
Steve, did you just spell Rachel Oates' last name wrong?
No, it's it's an E. Did. God damn it, I know it's an E. No, sorry, I know how she spells her name.
Got him.
Yes, I knew that though. It wasn't. I know she has an E in it.
Hey, listen, we own up to our mistakes and we try and fix.
I never spelled her name wrong. What are you talking about? Go look. What are you talking about? There's no evidence here.
It never happened.
Never happened.
While you're doing that, I'll read out the super chats. We got.
I already fixed it. Just has time to update.
Once from Helios. Once I left Crystal Pepsi outside in my car in negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was still liquid the next day, so I no longer drink it.
What was it?
Ooh. Crystal Pepsi.
Oh, Crystal Pepsi, yeah. Well, I thought that was Pepsi that was just clear. I thought it was supposed to taste the same.
It was in negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was still liquid, so it concerned them.
Oh, great. We have a knife-wielding angry German in the live chat. Awesome. GeoStreber.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right.
Hi, GeoStreber, you angry German knife-wielding.
Ureto?
Portal playing too.
Is it Ureto or Urato?
Arato, your muse.
Urato is your muse.
Yeah, Jasmine. That's Jasmine. Not doxing.
I've seen you and I love you, and I'm sorry that this is the first time I've had to pronounce your name. I avoid hangovers by being drunk 24/7. That's the dwarven cure. The dwarven cure for hangovers.
By the way, if I ever take Jasmine out on a date or anything like that, I'm going to be broke. Because I mean, I can't afford that because like, hey, can I buy you a drink? Next thing I know, the bar has to close down because they're out, right? So
they're out of stock.
Yeah, to her. And yeah, I would totally take her out. But GeoStreber, I'm not angry. I'm alert. I am currently a little wiggly because I watched the presentation of the new electric VW and absolutely love this thing. Oh, that's good. That's good. I don't want you to be an angry German. Germans who are angry
I owned a VW
tend to go nuts.
I owned a rabbit, a convertible rabbit. I couldn't drive it because I'm too short.
I like VWs. Bob Jenkins, $1. Thank you, Rob. Let's see here. Yeah, Germans are awesome. I just can't understand half the time what they're saying, but yeah, I like the German.
Oh. Also, hi, Gio. So what's next on our list?
Let's get to the very last. Well, actually, no. You know what? We already kind of covered that a little bit. I don't know. Let's open it up for Q&A, I guess. I mean, I think we talked about all the current stuff. We got, again, we're going to be doing this on Mondays, probably around the same time. I haven't decided we want a real fixed schedule yet because there's a lot of factors that go on to trying to make this happen. But I think Mondays are a good day for it.
Yeah, Monday's a good day for this. And we kind of do it in the afternoons, so it's not like prime time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems to be a good time slot. I mean, we have 300 people watching.
Oh, yeah. It's
as compared to 50 for some other channel.
Ooh.
Was that dank? Too dank?
That's a little,
too soon?
So while we wait for questions to come in, just make sure you tag us in them so we can see them a little bit easier if you have any questions. I'm pretty sure both of us are pretty open to answer basically anything.
Yeah, do you think a lot of people watch because maybe we do get dank every so often?
Oh, maybe. Little bit of sass, little bit of spice.
She's sassy, I'm spicy. Literally, spicy, get it? Spice rum?
Ah!
There's a method here, okay.
I like it.
Bob, another Bob, thank you. Another $1, thank you, Bob.
What kind of car can you drive? Power Wheels?
Oh!
No, those remote-controlled Barbie cars.
You know those when you used to go to Radio Shack and they used to sell these little remote control cars? That's it. 48 volt. Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evil Scotsman, $5. Question: why is Steve so evil? Is he Satan in disguise? Could be. I try not to show my Luciferianism, but comes out every so often. I do know actual Satanist.
One of the things that we were going to talk about today, and maybe we can save it for next time, is there are people in Tennessee, I'm pretty sure it was Tennessee, Nevada, if I'm remembering correctly from my reading of the article, trying to ban Harry Potter again. What year is it?
Yeah,
we're in 2019.
We could definitely go into that because I think that's to be a whole different episode about people saying that Harry Potter has real witchcraft in it, just like they used to do with Wizard of Oz and many other types of stories. And I think that's deserving of an entire episode, or at least part of an entire episode, because that is just some bizarre shit to me.
Rodent makes a decent point. They say that they think it's good to keep communications open with adversaries, but you have to keep some kind of emotional distance and not get wrapped up in it. So I think that ultimately depends. You should only really keep communications open with somebody when it's beneficial to you. Neutral or beneficial. There's no point in talking to anybody that's just either going to drag you down or so that you're not going to benefit from talking to them. Because if you're not going to benefit from talking to them, what's the point? If you're helping somebody, you're not necessarily benefiting from that the same way, but there's still a goal, like a benefit overall. Whereas, like, if you're just talking to somebody who's just going to be a shithead to you,
yeah, I don't bother. That's why I don't bother with them. If two people can ask me the same question, but one comes to me sideways and is an asshole, they're going to get blocked. If the other person asks me and they're very inquisitive, I'm going to be spending my time trying to explain to them and be happy to do so.
How many times did we talk on Twitter where you were talking philosophy and I watched the threads and I would watch something go south and that person would get blocked, but there might have been a question that they asked that I was kind of curious about and I'd re-ask the question. I would ask it probably in a different way, but I'd ask the same question they did, and I was just like, and it was fine, and you had no problem with me.
Yeah. Same thing happened the other day. Somebody I hadn't really talked to before. Very pleasant woman. Do you remember her name? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Where and when were you talking to them, and what was it about?
She was asking me. She said that she wasn't a fan of mine. She heard some negative stuff, and she never really watched me and stuff like that. And I told her, I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish I could try to make you feel differently because I'm not that person you're making me out to be. We end up talking for like 5 hours and had the most pleasant discussion in private of anybody. And she's like, you're really kind of growing on me now, because she gave me an opportunity to correct the record that things she didn't know about. That's fine. But somebody else asked me very similar questions, and they came after me sideways, accusatory.
Yeah.
Big difference. Why did you do this? That person got blocked.
So if you want to approach somebody and if you honestly want to know and you don't want to come across, especially if you're in a situation where you don't necessarily know everything that's gone on. Like, so say somebody was walking into the situation being like, wow, this Steve guy's kind of a big jerk to GE, who I follow, and they don't know what's been going on. Or more to the point, somebody from Mr. Atheist channel comes over and has no idea what the hell is going on.
Which they don't. They don't.
Exactly. So if you come in and you ask Steve, hey, why the hell are you so mean, or why are you calling out Mr. Atheist, or what the fuck's wrong with you? You're coming at them sideways because you have no idea what's going on. And even if you think you might know what's going on, you're already making a base assumption, because if you're trying to honestly ask a question, then honestly ask the question. You approach somebody and say, hey, so let's take Steve out of it. Let's say it's Rationality Rules, when people were calling him transphobic, and you heard all this stuff that he was transphobic and saying all this stuff. You don't come at him and say, why are you such a bigot towards trans people? What's your problem? No, you say, hey, I've heard this information and I'm trying to get some clarification. I don't understand what's going on. What are your positions? or what's going on, and then maybe they'll move to DMs, maybe they'll answer you, but them not answering you also doesn't mean they're shafting you.
Yeah, let me. So first of all, is Kitty the Atheist. You guys know her. She was very nice. But yeah. So by the way, Thomas Westbrook, I'm still blocked, so he wasn't replying to me. So he obviously was apologizing because he has me blocked. So he can run whatever narrative he wants. I let people decide for themselves. Go look at Twitter. I mean, everything we've said is exactly what happened objectively. And he did show my private DM, which I never gave him permission to do. There's no possible way that. I think he misread it on purpose. I don't think it was accidental, honestly, because he came in sideways. He was looking for something to try to block me. He was looking for some reason to come after me.
If you want to release a DM like that, particularly with Steve, you shouldn't be leaving a gray area for there to be misinterpretation.
Yeah, and you shouldn't say... He should have
just DM'd you.
He said, do you want me to show people your DM? And then all of a sudden, he shows people my DM because he says, he didn't say it, but other people are like saying he may have misread it. No. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. He doesn't get the principle of doubt or the principle of charity from me. He doesn't get benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry. I even said that before. You don't get the benefit of the doubt from me because I've seen how he's going about this.
Even if you do give him the benefit of the doubt, his subsequent behavior is questionable.
Right.
Somebody asked if one believes in Satan as in the Great Deceiver, how can they be sure of anything? Or more specifically, sure of personal revelation. And yes, I'm high right now.
Yeah, well, you can't be.
Harry is great.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. Look, when it comes to those faith-based things, you just kind of hope that your position is right?
Yeah, I don't know if you believe in a great deceiver and you think that deceiver can whisper in people's ears, then the only way, you can't tell whether or not it is divine revelation or the opposite. Unless
you're Descartes, because Descartes argued that God wouldn't allow that to kind of happen. He had this weird... Descartes' position when it comes to skepticism was kind of odd. Because he believed in God, but...
Yeah, but we already put the caveat in, if they can do that. So if God's preventing Satan or the Great Deceiver from deceiving people, then no, you wouldn't be able to be... It takes it out and kind of actually contradicts what some of the theology says, but do I know?
Mr. Meat Lover says, does anyone know if there's any truth to the rumor that EOT is threatening Rachel with legal action? I've heard that. I don't know. I mean, first of all, I think he's already cutting his own throat now. He's already losing subs. He's lost respect of whatever little respect that he had. He's lost from everybody, which, by the way, was nominal. He literally only has a handful of people, I think, that are actually feeding into his narcissism. But what benefit would he have to take legal action?
I don't know. Even if he was going to take legal action, I have no idea what kind of route he would even be able to take that he would win on. Even if it was to go to court,
no idea.
What jury is going to watch Rachel's video and side with him?
Well, what damages does he have? He still has Patreons. Damage? He still has 116 Patreons. He makes $7,500. He literally gets $725 a month to bully people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I find that to be egregious. I really honestly do.
Some people are into that kind of stuff.
Hey, look, whatever people want to spend their money on is fine. I donate as well. I've given to these GoFundMes. I do super chats. I give back to the community. I'm very happy to do so. But I'm sure the hell not going to give my money to somebody who goes out of their way to bully people like he does. And if you don't agree with him, all of a sudden you're a violent transphobe. I mean,
or even
for God's sake.
There might be a reason to donate to somebody that you don't agree with. So, let's say that there's somebody going out bullying and lying, but then some kind of emergency happens to them. Sometimes you put stuff like that a little bit aside because somebody's in literal danger. So let's say that Rachel Oates was being transphobic, right? Let's say that she was. She's not. But hypothetically, let's say that she was, and she made this video where she is clearly in crisis. To decide to donate to her so she can survive. Because I think that trumps whatever the hell else is going on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't, whatever people donate to is their business, right? To me, though, I could never financially or any way support the actions of Essence of Thought. To me, what he's doing is so reprehensible in the community that he's causing such division. If it wasn't for him, I don't think anybody would have gave a shit about Rationality's video. I really don't think they would have thought it was as egregious as it was. He exacerbated that. He made it into something that it wasn't for his own narrative. And we watched this happen in real time. Now, people can say they didn't like Rationality Rules' first video. They can say that it was transphobic. I don't believe it was, but let's say arguendo that it was. It never reached the point that it should have got to, but it only did because Essence of Thought blew it substantially out of proportion to the point where even ACA split up over this. Right? There was major splits in the atheist community of Austin because of this and the atheist experience. So it had long-reaching reverberations throughout the community because of EOT. So I'm not going to go into specificities, but Sarah put out a tweet and she basically said, you know what, all this drama and even though I maybe not be the best word to use, but all this drama, she said, it boils down to two people. Yep. Pretty much two people, and I can't find fault with that. There's been two people that have caused such massive harm and massive schisms by such deceptions, such lying, such egregious ethical considerations that when I've asked people, are you going to call these people out? I'm just trying to get a feel of the lay of the land. I do not have this narrative, you're either with me or against me. That's bullshit. People have been trying to say that, and I find that to be reprehensible as well. When Rationality Rules said, he didn't want to make a video on this, I didn't explain why. I didn't go, you're unethical, you're against me. No. If you don't want to deal with this, I get it. I had other people approach me in private, say, Steve, I'm on your side. I don't want to say anything in public only because of the backlash, blah, blah. I get it, right?
There are times when things are just not beneficial enough for you to take a stance on or a public stance on, and you can support in the background if you want. You can decide not to support at all if you don't want to, and people are going to have reasons for doing that. You might not agree with those reasons, but that doesn't mean you don't respect them.
Yeah, but when they jump into it, when they decide to get into it, that's a little different story, right? As soon as they breach that neutrality thing and they want to weigh in on something, and they weigh in incorrectly, like they don't have all the facts. Yeah, I'm going to kind of point him out. And by the way, I just saw Holykoolaid's post. He showed the whole DM, right? And his response was this, and so I'll read it for you because he showed his DM. He says, "I can't."
Did Thomas show his whole DM?
Yeah,
I haven't looked yet. Okay.
Yeah, so apparently Steve McRae wants me to post my incredibly rude reply to him. So here it is: blunt, yes; honest, also yes. I thought it was fairly rude because I asked a lot of people. He was the only one that sent me this type of negative thing. You guys decide for yourself. But he says this. I can't tell if you're serious right now. The way you framed that message was extremely manipulative and off-putting. If you wanted to win friends and allies, that's not the way to do it. My response to him was, I'm not trying to win friends or allies. I'm just wanting to know if you're going to do this, never mind. That's all I said to him in return. That he was unethical for not making one. I didn't call him out. I didn't say anything but, okay,
And you didn't say anything publicly either.
And I didn't say anything publicly. I never once mentioned Thomas publicly until now. Not once did I call him out for anything. If I was trying to be manipulative and try to call him out for not doing anything, I would have done so already. This was back in August.
But
he brought all this up.
But
I respected his decision.
Even if he came at you sideways, or even if he didn't come at you sideways, but you perceived it as him. Like let's do the most charity that we could possibly give.
You have an echo. Wait, you have an echo. I haven't done anything, so that's been on your end.
I haven't done nothing.
I haven't changed anything.
I mean, you did that fix it?
All right, guys, did that fix it? Because I haven't done anything on my end. I have all.
Maybe I'm just yelling too much.
Yeah, it could be that maybe your headphones are.
So, let's do as much charity as we can possibly give. The most amount of charity we can possibly give is that you said something and it came off to him in this way. So he responded in a way that came off towards you, not what he intended either, right? You then decided to say, okay, so even if he came at you sideways from your perspective, you still respected that he didn't want to talk about it, and you said, okay.
Unplug your mic and plug it back in. You're still going to echo. And by the way, somebody had asked. By the way, accounts with no avatar that I've never heard of before. Some weird name. Weird, right? Do Steve only do drama these days? No. I already explained at the beginning of the video. Go watch. Simple.
Yeah.
Again, why is it always avatars that don't exist, that have 0 subs, no videos, that kind of stuff? Weird. Talking about drama, right?
Apparently, I still have the echo, but I've been told to say, "You shall not pass."
Can you say exterminate?
Exterminate. exterminate.
I don't know why she's getting echo. It's absolutely not on my end.
Well, it came from nowhere. It wasn't happening, and then it started happening. I wonder if Skype adjusted my king.
You want to leave Skype and come back in?
Try that. Does that help?
I don't know.
Let's give it a second. New, who dat?
And by the way, Holykoolaid's in the live chat, so if he wants to comment, he's more than welcome to. He has still a wrench.
Yeah.
I'm again. I think he's just projecting, and I like to work it out with him. I have nothing against the guy. That's why I've never said anything about this for months. I didn't have no intention of calling him out on anything. He wasn't even on my radar for some reason. He thinks that I'm saying either you do this or you're unethical. Never said that. Never remotely said this. I've never had this narrative you're with me or against me. I just want to get a lay of the land because I want to see what's people's thought processes on some of this stuff. Because especially like Mr. Atheist, who's actively covering stuff up, I am going to call him out. I have no intention of going after Thomas or going after Rationality Rules or anybody else who didn't weigh in on this. That's not my concern.
I'm gonna leave Skype and come back before I go, just in case it does get rid of the echo. I want to just say, stand clear of the closing doors, and Luke, I am your sister. All right, I'll be back in a second.
All right, Copernicus gets think of $2. Chesh say heal thyself. flat out Earth Aussie Jesus. Okay. Oh wait, did I lose my Skype? Okay, well, I lost my Skype when she dogged out, so you guys can still hear me because I'm on OBS, but you lost the Skype call. So, yeah, obviously the echo went away because the Skype call went away. So I got to call her back, so give me a second here, guys. How funny. All right, so here we go. Can you guys hear the music, by the way? I hear that in my sleep sometimes. The only person who ever calls me on Skype is basically Ben from Drunky Peasants. That's about it. So I hear that music and I'm thinking, what does Ben want? So, all right. So,
what a great freeze frame for my face, I gotta say.
Well, those eyes, right? Just don't look too deeply in those eyes because, can't look away.
Fear me.
All right. So you guys can hear okay now?
Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah. Still an echo.
Still an echo. What the hell? Oh yeah, that's a bad echo. What the hell? It wasn't doing this earlier.
But it is. I'm telling you, it's on your end. Now, what we could do is, if you want, we'll go into. Well, no, I can't go into anything else because for some reason this doesn't allow me to stream from Zoom or a Google Hangout because it doesn't pick up the audio. I haven't figured out why yet.
I switched the microphone out. Maybe this is better.
I don't know why I'm louder. I haven't done anything. Yeah, well, of course I need a producer, and I asked Bull if he wanted to come in, by the way. But yeah, I think Bull eventually hopefully, once we get things set up. Did King Crocodile show up? I saw people saying hi to him, but there he is. Hey, what's up, King? By the way, welcome back to Twitter. First of all, why? But second of all, good to see you back. We're gonna have probably Casey on sometime. They say it's better, but still there. So let me ask you guys. Holykoolaid says, you literally gave me a false dichotomy. I make your video or I'm unethical. I didn't kowtow because I don't make those kinds of videos. I didn't bring up the DM you did first. Let me explain something, Holykoolaid. You're wrong. That is not a false dilemma that I gave you. There are 4 possibilities. A false dilemma is 2. 4 possibilities, which I enumerated on my Twitter page. You could make a video and be ethical. You can make a video and be unethical. You could not make a video and be ethical, or not make a video or be unethical. Those are 4 choices people can make. So it's not a false dichotomy. And if you decide not to make a video, I didn't find you to be unethical. I never said anything of the sort. I never called you unethical. I never said anything about being unethical. You said you didn't want to make one. I said fine. I said, never mind. I just wanted to ask. I never called you out on it. I never bothered to even address it with anybody. So I think you have a very poor narrative if you think that I was trying to give you this, make a video or you're unethical. I asked if you were going to make a video. I didn't tell you to make a video, and I certainly didn't ever call you unethical. What I called you unethical about is showing my private DM, which you should apologize for, to be honest with you.
I think there's something to be said for if you perceived it as Steve saying, if you don't make a video about this, you're unethical. That's fine. You can think that that's what he was trying to say. But that's not what it was. But you need to accept what his intentions were. You can't put those intentions on him because that's not what it actually says. What it says is, are you going to call out this unethical behavior?
Yeah, and by the way,
doesn't mean you're unethical by not making a video.
If Holykoolaid was right, then I would have said Rationality Rules was not ethical for not making a video. I didn't. What I say to Rationality Rules? Fine, I understand. Fine, no problem.
Well, you said the same thing to him too. You said that, wow, this seems like you came at me sideways, but okay, and then he left it alone. So I don't know how you would think that he's being manipulative when he didn't manipulate you.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Even if you think that the original message was manipulative in nature, that's fine, but you can't call him manipulative when he didn't pressure you or put any kind. There's nothing after.
When you manipulate somebody, you actually say to them, "Oh, well, you're not going to do this. Let me argue more." I didn't. I was like, "Okay, whatever." That's not manipulative. And call me, say that I abuse people, that say that I manipulate people, and call me the gaslighter? Come on, man.
Hold on. Holykoolaid says, you were bashing my reply to your DM, and I asked if you wanted me to share it since you were talking about it, and you said it wasn't private.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
I just have a quick question. You were bashing my reply to your DM. Are you talking about the initial DMs?
Yeah, I said that. I thought it was kind of nasty the way his response a little bit, but
okay.
That's what he means by that. But I never said they weren't private. What I said was I have asked other people. I asked them in private. I never asked them in public. Ask Rationality Rules and some other people. I've asked them. Okay, I asked them in private, Thomas. Private, not in public. You inferred that. And by the way, King Crocoduck, $2. Steve, take your shirt off. I'm going to do that one of these days. Don't worry. I owe it to people. People have seen me shirtless. I actually talk all the time.
Maybe not on this show, but maybe on some other show.
Helios, $5. As a no avatar, no videos, no followers person, I can take offense all the times you call out the fake accounts that I created to promote drama. You're okay.
We recognize your name.
He said you can call me incredibly rude. Thomas, when you let me explain something to you. First of all, you came at me sideways. You did. You had not weighed in on any of this. I have not talked about you in ages, and you came at me sideways. Okay? I addressed what you said, and I corrected you on where you got these numbers from. You then started bringing up stuff about about asking you for a video, and then you just showed that private conversation public. You did that, not me. Okay?
I'd also like to point out that you didn't ask him to make a video. You asked if he was going to make a video. You didn't say, hey, can you make a video about this? You said, are you going to make a video
And the reason why I asked that, Thomas, is because, one, if you were going to make a video about it, I want to make sure you had your facts right, and I was going to say, okay, let's have a discussion on this so you at least get the information correct. That's all. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous, this narrative being changed.
Shitting on you for offering to help and essentially do a free interview with you?
I have no idea. He shat on me the entire time. I was like, whatever. I mean, it was just coming at me sideways. I mean, Medora for £3, keep the shirt on, please.
Oh.
Okay. I see how you are. But, yeah, King Crocoduck. Shut up, Dora! King Crocoduck wants me. I can't help it. It's the hair.
I'm so glad that Crocoduck is back. I never got a chance to interact with Crocoduck. He took off right when I was getting into things.
Yeah, so. I think it's actually Sarah. So King Crocoduck,
Sarah's so excited.
On the weekend, I know Sarah wants to have a hangout with you. So when Sarah's awake, but we'll arrange that. So we'll try to make that happen if you're willing to, King Crocoduck. Let's hang out. We'll have you, Sarah, Cheshire, and a few other people maybe.
Are we gonna do?
No, not this Sarah. There's Sarah in the live chat too. Wrong one. Stupid Horror Energy is also Sarah. It says no, take it off.
Well, I mean, I think that's not a bad idea. I don't know if Thomas should come in on this stream, but
yeah.
I think it would be interesting to have a conversation. I just don't know if this second.
I don't want to turn this show into, oh, we're going to say some people come in. They have other hangouts where they can come in. Okay, everything else is an open hangout.
We're also getting really close to our time frame.
These are planned, and these are we discuss things. I don't want to make it where we just bring people in. This is to get our side out.
Yeah.
If a future hangout, that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a totally I would love to see that. I think that'd be great. We're also just getting really close to our time, so even if we could bring him in, we can't bring him in at the very end of this show. It wouldn't do it justice. It wouldn't. We
keep this down under 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be fair to Thomas, and it wouldn't be fair to Steve. So best off to set up a time with Thomas if he would like to have that conversation, to maybe have it at some other time, even later today, if that's something that everybody's available for.
I wouldn't be today, but sometime sure. Yeah, look at I have nothing against Thomas. He's been a friend of mine for a very long time. He's been on many times. I've been on his thing.
Holykoolaid, now you're being unfair. What do you mean, how convenient? Look at any other one of these shows.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying, Holykoolaid. Now you're arguing to a motive here. This is what I'm saying I'm finding detestable in the atheist community, especially because I've seen it with other people. Stop it, Thomas. Everybody knows we keep these things down to 2 hours. That's 12 to 13 minutes from now. I've said it on multiple other streams. But you have this weird things where you keep on trying to argue my motive. Stop doing it. You're never going to come ahead on that. It's just wrong.
You seem to be under the impression that we should bend over backwards to bring you in here and run our we have other things to do today. You can totally set up a time to do this, and I don't know why you're being so hostile to coming in on this.
But he's came at me all the last day or so hostile or accusatory. I don't understand. I've never said shit about the guy. I've never been I never had any accusations to him. I've never called him out anything. And all of a sudden, he's like all day been coming after me sideways. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck I ever did to him. Nothing. I didn't do shit to him. But he calls me an abuse, says I'm abusing people, that I'm manipulative, that I'm gaslighting, all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Even if he thought that you were being manipulative in your message, you've already said, no, that wasn't my intention. And even if he doesn't want to accept that, he can't go around telling people your intentions on your message that he has interpreted that way, that you have said, that's not reasonable. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Just because you don't accept his reason doesn't mean you still get to go.
He just said he literally didn't start anything. Thomas, I have not heard from you in 2 months. The first thing I heard from you, you're questioning my numbers that I told Shannon. I came up with a number that I said, if my lawyer said it was okay, I'd probably settle for this. And you went off in this weird math by saying, hey, well, tell me how you did that, Steve, because I want to know how you do stuff, because I've been on YouTube forever, and, accusing me like I was full of shit. You were very you had very accusatory tone. Don't tell me you didn't. Come on. Come on, be honest, Thomas. Don't pull that.
Even if he wasn't trying to be,
it sounded like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and say, even if Thomas was not trying to be accusatory and he was just trying to be funny and he was just making a joke and he was just trying to ask questions, and it sucks when you miss a question mark. I get that, but if there's a couple of people that don't get that.
I get that joke.
But you are still the one who engaged.
Yeah.
So that is you starting something, even if that's not what you intended.
Yeah.
And you still perpetuate it.
And he was already negative in his response to me before. I thought he was being negative in this way. I'm not. Again, I give principle of charity, but it seemed to me he was coming after me very negatively. Whether right or wrong on that, that was my interpretation.
That's the other reason why we shouldn't have this conversation in this hangout, is because, yes, everybody should have a day to go collect their information, collect their facts, collect how they feel like they want to present their case, and then I think that's totally reasonable for both parties.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. But then, after we resolved the numbers issue, he's the one that brought up the DM. Why? What purpose did that serve?
Ultimately, people can go back and read the thread. The thread is there.
Yeah, evidence, right? Objective evidence.
You also said he was gaslighting, then blocked him. So
yeah,
he made accusatory statements.
Wait, not just gaslighting. He said he didn't start anything. There's nothing about it. He accused me of abuse. He accused me of manipulation, and he accused me of gaslighting. Bullshit on that, Thomas. I throw the bullshit card on you. You accused me of 3 very heinous things. Don't sit there and try to tell people you weren't trying to start anything. Come on. I have zero tolerance for this anymore, Thomas. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people trying to run a narrative when they're full of shit. Everything you said was wrong, and you won't take responsibility for it. You post my private DM. You don't apologize for that. What do you think I'm supposed to think? Please tell me. I'd like to know.
The other thing is that at best, this has been handled poorly, in that even if it was an honest misunderstanding, and that DM shouldn't have gone out because of a misunderstanding, why is it still up?
Yeah. Let me correct something. I actually brought up the DM only for one thing, because somebody had asked, maybe he misunderstood. I said, no, I've asked him before something in DM, and he was very negative. And then he brought it up by saying, oh, do you want me to show the DM? Excuse me? You're going to show a private DM? What kind of accusation is that? That's like saying, do you want me to dox you? Come on, Thomas. You literally said that. You said, do you want me to show people your DM? That's like saying, do you want me to dox you? That was something that you said, and then you went ahead and did it. Come on.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a few things that happen here that I think are strange and bizarre
One sec. If I can. He says, now Steve claims he gives people the benefit of the doubt. I do, and I even told you specifically, I am not giving you the benefit of the doubt on this. I even wrote that into Twitter, that I am not giving you the principle of charity on this. I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt on this, because I almost always do. You, I thought, didn't deserve it, because the way I thought you responded to me, and then you were accusing me of the numbers thing. So I was taken aback at that whole principle of charity thing.
Holykoolaid, you said, this is what I'm going to quote what you're saying, just to make sure. I asked you if you wanted me to show it, and you said it wasn't private.
Bullshit.
And had sent it to everyone.
Bullshit. Where did I say it wasn't private? Show us the evidence for that, Holykoolaid. Go ahead. Post that tweet. I dare you. I double dog dare you to post that tweet.
You can still post links. You're still a mod.
Yeah, post that link of where I said it wasn't private. What I said was, I've asked numerous people. I asked them in private. I never said that was public. Go ahead. Show me where I said it wasn't private. I'll wait. If we have to run a few minutes over, that's fine.
Do you guys know if if Rachel Oates' fundraiser is still open? Can people still donate to that?
I don't know.
We do have the donation pool still running for Sean Hufford, so if anybody wants to go donate there, that would be great. I do not currently have the link for it, and I'm sorry, you'll have to find it. Probably check maybe his Twitter, or check the videos that have been about this in the past. There's another thing. There was another thing. What's the other thing?
Super chat real quick. God's Auditor, $5. I recommend both of you chill out and hang up your range. 7 minutes won't yield anything substantive. My 50 cents. 500 cents. Yeah, and that's fine. By the way, you want to put the tweet out there? I if you could find it, you're really good at this shit. But let people go find the tweet.
Give me a second. I'll go get it.
Yeah, would you please? Because I never said that it wasn't private, or I never said it was public. What I said was I've sent it to numerous people. I never said it was public. And then after you found out that I didn't say it was public, instead of saying, "Oh, I misunderstood you," I'll take it down. You doubled down on it and started accusing me of manipulation and of gaslighting. Let's see if this is the right one that Take It In has. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So here's the tweet. I'll read it to you.
Oh, you've got it.
Yeah, actually,
I'll see if I can still find it as well.
It said, "It was the same question I asked numerous people. You were the only one who responded negatively. You expose theist frauds, right? And those who take money from followers, right? Why not if an atheist does? What's the difference?" And that's what I asked him. But I said, I asked numerous people. Nothing in that tweet says it was public, though I asked the people.
Here I'm linking right now the thread from the beginning of when Thomas first came into the conversation. So this is where the conversation that went this direction started. So if you want to follow it through, you can check for yourselves to see who said what about what. Now, if there's been misunderstandings, that's fine. But there's no reason to be as hostile. There's no reason to be accusing people of things that they didn't do. You don't have to force intentions onto people. It doesn't help you, and it doesn't help them. If you had a problem with Steve being manipulative and being what the fuck about something, then message him about it. You brought this up publicly.
Thomas knows this. I'm very easy to get along with, and I will always back my shit up. Now he says, if I have misunderstood you, I apologize, and I'm willing to accept that. I have to have an awful lot of respect for Thomas. But Thomas, I want you to understand something. And this is not directed to you, but in general, I am very sick of what I've been seeing with people and how they've been trying to change narratives. Okay, you weren't here earlier how I brought up with Mr. Atheist, Kaitlyn, Chloe. By the way, you know they are trying to change the narrative, and I hope that you do. It's obvious to anybody else, but I'm sick of it. I am very much tired of these people getting away with bullshit, and I'm calling them out on it, and it's going to get much worse for them as more and more information comes out. I haven't called you out on anything, man. Nothing. So I don't know why you would come after me sideways with all this. Copernicus, Sly Hop, $2. Sly Hop on the panel and give us at least F Core. We'll talk about FE Core another time, trust me. But anyways, real quick to wrap this up because we're running out of time here. This tweet that you guys saw, did anywhere in there did I say public? No. Oh.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that mentioned once. The only thing that I can possibly think of is that giving, because I am giving Thomas the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving him as much as I possibly can.
That's why I love you, man. That's cool. Go ahead.
As much as I possibly can. If he misunderstood when you said that I've asked this to other people, he thought you meant publicly. in which case the wires got crossed there. But in that case, continuing it on, then claiming you're gaslighting and blocking is a piss poor way to handle that.
I mean, what I would have done is said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I will remove it." Everything would have been fine. But instead of doing that, he actually accused me of false dilemma, which was, he accused me of being abusive, manipulative, and gaslighting. I'm sorry, that's not how you handle a situation.
He went attack mode on something that could have easily just been a correction.
Agreed.
Side note, we got $5 US from Helios. How much to get Steve Reds in Cheshire to do a string bikini stream? Reds has to wear a bag on his head for safety's sake, unless it's Halloween.
I probably don't look bad in a string.
I'll do it.
I mean, I'm not like ashamed of. I'm actually in decent shape for my.
Are we gonna make a goal? Should we make like a streaming goal? Should we make a monetary goal? Should we make like?
No, I don't care about that.
But before we go, I kind of want to hash this out.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
You guys need to at least give me enough money so that I can go out and buy a string bikini.
Oh.
How about that?
All right. Well, if not, you can at least get. If you have enough for half or one, you just have to pick whether you want it with the top or bottom. Sweet Heathen. Steve clearly relates ethics with what he wants to address, not accusing those not addressing it as unethical. He has supported quite a few people publicly with respect for their reasons to stay out. Yeah. Thank you, Sweet Heathen. By the way, there are people who have come to me both publicly and privately and said, look, I'm not going to get in the middle of this. I get it. I've told them I'm completely fine. But when people start jumping in after they've said that or out of nowhere, then I have a right to kind of inquire on their efficacy. And yes, I do use that word. It is a used word in business. It's actually used in many peer-reviewed papers. Go find it, even though it's not in the dictionary. A lot of words are. Are you
making a semantic argument, Steve?
No, it's not. It's just that I use a word people aren't familiar with because you find it in peer-reviewed papers and in business ethics as efficacy. People are like, oh, that's not a word. Well, there's a lot of words that aren't in the dictionary that still people use. This just hasn't caught up yet. But I was saying that, there's certain people that have been actively covering shit up. I will be calling out Mr. Atheist. I'll be calling out Kaitlyn Chloe. I'll be calling out Godless Engineer. They have a lot to atone for. A lot. And Katie Polson. They have a lot to atone for. Because they have been actively covering stuff up.
Really rather not add Holykoolaid to that list what is potentially just a misunderstanding.
Right. And look, if it was a misunderstanding, I'm cool with that. I don't want to make an enemy out of Thomas. I have the utmost respect for him.
I want to address Dora real quick. He says, let us pick one out for you. The bikini, they mean. All right, I'm also down for that. Somebody, I don't know, go on Amazon or something. And
how string are we talking about? We talk about like 2 stamps and a cork kind of thing?
Probably. If I'm letting the internet choose, then probably. Steal one off a Barbie doll. It's big. A Barbie doll that's big enough.
All right. Well, anyways, we're gonna wrap this up, guys. I appreciate it. Like I said, we're gonna do this every Monday. I think this is cathartic. I think it's something that Cheshire and I like to do, and
it's good to be able to set the record straight after you've been blocked.
Oh yeah, and just
still accusing you of things.
And again, been so much bullshit out there. Here's 2 voices of I think reasonable voices to try to weed through this and stuff because people are running false narratives, and I'm not going to let them get away with it.
If this show is able to open a dialogue between Thomas and Steve at this point, then I think we've done good. Yeah, we also did the same thing. We did the same thing for Sarah and Demi when they got deplatformed.
Yeah, because there was never going to be a dialogue with Katie, Casey, G, and somebody else. It's never going to happen. They're done. That ship has sailed. Okay.
To be fair, it's not even uncommon for us to actually pull in a guest, but we have to pull it in ahead of time. So if there is other stuff going on that ends up involving other people, then there's a decent chance that we would probably bring them in.
And let me address this before we go off air here. Holykoolaid says, if you're really not a drama queen, by the way, I am so not a drama queen. That narrative has got to die out. That's ridiculous. Steve, why did you go straight to a live stream, which we were planning to do anyways this morning at 11 o'clock? We have 6 hours prior to this been talking about this live stream. Cheshire and I have been awake since literally I was from 6 a.m. my time. Why did you go straight to live stream about it rather than just calling me directly on Facebook? You blocked me on Twitter. You were done with the conversation. I'm not going to. This is what happens. Somebody blocks me and I go contact them and they're like, oh, you're continuing to harass me. I don't play that game any longer. You blocked me after accusing me of things. I'm not going to go chase you down. I'm sorry. And then he says, you're not blocked there. Next time, just call me. No, next time, why would you block somebody if you have...
if you're getting upset... Hold on. If you were going to get upset, like, again, let's take this down for a second. If you wanted to address this and you were getting accused and you wanted to accuse Steve, why didn't you move it to DMs before you blocked him?
Yeah, I mean,
Why is
yeah,
this
really. Why is this on me? And he says, so why we again? This is such accusatory. He says, why were you planning to do a live stream about this topic that literally happened a couple of hours ago? No, we were doing things on other topics. This has happened to be come up, and we added it to the agenda, Thomas. Jesus Christ, man. This is what I'm saying. You've got to drop this accusatory shit. Everything you've said so far is accusatory. Everything. Look what your writings are. You've accused me. You've been accusing. Drama queen, this and that. Stop it, man. I'm telling you, it is not working out for you to continue to try to make me to be out the bad guy here. You could have came to me in DM.
Stephen says find me on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
I mean, tell you what.
Oh, again, wait, one more thing. Again, he says, I blocked you because you're attempting, retreating to the world, misrepresenting my position, attempting to start a dog pile. Again, accusatory. Nobody fucking dog piles. I don't do that game.
How do you know that without asking Steve that was what his intention was?
Yeah, I'm sick of that. People saying, oh, you send my fans over there. Bullshit. Have I ever told anybody to go harass anybody or bully anybody or dogpile anybody? Thomas, you're in the wrong on this. You're just simply in the wrong on this. And I'm giving you time to think about this. But everything you've said has been accusatory. Everything you've said has been accusatory. So, anyways, man, we're going to wrap it up because we're out of time.
Stop accusing him for being accusatory.
Yeah. Really?
We're gonna end on a high note. This is why we're this is the exact.
Have I ever called for a dog pile on Twitter? I'm sorry. Has this ever happened? Have I ever said, hey, go harass this person, go dog pile this person? No. My Twitter is I inform people what's going on, and I explain things, and I will correct people when they're wrong. You were wrong. You said things like I had a false dilemma. You were wrong. I explained why there was not a false dilemma there because I gave 4 options. False dilemmas 2. Okay, so it wasn't to have a dog pile. Stop trying to make motive to people, especially to me. It's not going to bode well for you, okay? Seriously.
And this is exactly why we need to talk about this garbage, because it's all garbage. For every direction is garbage, and this is why it's gonna end up.
This is why we have Caffeine Corner. So there you go. Look for it next week.
I really hope at one point we're not talking about something that's been so direct and so much that has happened, but we call people out in our community. That's what we're encouraged to do. So if somebody's, it doesn't even have to be, it could be anyone. This is the same reason why GE and KC get called out for blatantly lying. That's just what's going to happen.
There you go. We're going to leave it at that, guys. Yeah, KC and GE, they get called out for blatantly lying, and they're going to continue to do so. So with that, guys, good night. Let's get out of here. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.